I'm Vera Halpert. We're from 3D Learner. We're glad to have you with us tonight. It is the beginning of August if you're watching us live, and if you're watching us on repeat,
it was the beginning of August.
It was the beginning of August. And for some in Hot Boston, Florida, actually, school starts this next week, which for some of you who are lucky enough to still have a whole nother month of summer, this
Enjoy.
Is going to be something that you'll have a little more time to prepare. But we're going to talk a little bit tonight about a back to school that's just a little bit different than, all of us have been getting all kinds of notices and emails about getting back to school and what to be able to get and what to be able to do and how to be able to help your child. We are specialists in working with right brain visual learners. We've been getting a number of calls this last week as the summer is coming to a close and parents are starting to recognize that their kids have had a really wonderful summer and what can they do to be able to maintain the fact that they've had great summer experiences, being outside, being at camp, being with friends, and they're overshadowed, worried about what it is that's going to happen when they go back to school. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about sort of what that getting back to school. Maybe we should talk about, we're all positive parenting here and positive things about kids. Maybe we should be going forward to school. Maybe that's what I probably should rename this, Mark, is going forward to school. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about starting the school year right. And there are three basic things we're going to talk about tonight. The very first thing is about you as your parents or grandparent, if you happen to be listening, and you're the one that's certainly more grandparents are involved in day-to-day kids getting up and being in school and supportive, which is absolutely wonderful. But it's about getting your mindset right for what this school year is going to be like. Again, we're going to talk about creating the positive picture for your child. Remember, these kids are visual picture learners. And using the words that create that positive picture. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then really about getting ready for extra supplies. And some states have become very big into tax-free for school supplies, whatever it is. I'm all for this. We're going to present a list that we're happy to share with you if you want to have a copy of it. I know for me, being able to have this copy of the list, I'm going to tell you that we sort of are certainly empty nesters ourselves, but when our kids and grandkids and other friends come by, I still have these supplies. I will tell you that it is really important to be able to have these on hand, especially since you don't want to be going out at 10 or 11 o'clock at night to be able to go get that poster board or whiteboard or construction paper that you thought you needed that you had.
Okay, one thing I'd like to say before we talk about going back to school. The school's probably going to look a little bit different this year than it did in the past. They're probably going to have more teachers who have retired or resigned, more new school teachers, new principals. There's going to be a lot to deal with. So when Mira talks about the importance of getting yourself in the right framework, mindset, this is going to be vitally important for lots of reasons.
For lots of reasons. First of all, I know how we were all excited at the end of the school year to be able to finally have that race over. And some parents are like, well, I don't know what to do with the summer. And it's so nice to be able to have my kids. Wherever you are in that spectrum about you're excited to have your kids go back or whether you're not so excited about having your kids go back and getting into the struggle, remember your kids mirror and respond to what you say, how you say it, but more importantly, how you do it. Now, I love this picture. Granted, it's a little one, but I have to tell you that even your middle high school kids are going to be taking the cue from you. And even if this summer seems to be ending a little bit earlier because it's August or whenever it is that you start school again at the end of August or the very beginning of September, I want you to stop and give yourself a bit of a break. Have you think about what it is that you want and how you feel about school, and be sure that you are ready for the school year. Take a breath, take a walk, take a swim, take whatever it is that I want you to be able to start to feel and picture yourself with what this school year is going to look like, what the beginning of the year is, what the beginning is going to be. I know we all get in this rat race of thinking we have to get every supply and every new, every kid new pair of shoes and school clothes and certainly uniforms. I happen to be a big uniform fan because it's just so easy. I don't have to think about what we're going to have to be able to wear. But more than that, it's being able to be ready and being able to have your head around the way this school year is going to be. We've all been through a lot of trauma. And as Mark said, that this next school year, no matter if you're in private school, public school, charter school, homeschool, and all of the above. There are new names of schools, and alternative schools and outdoor schools. Whatever it is certainly more structured than possibly what you've been doing over the last 2 months in summer. And it's certainly more structured and more consistent than what we were hoping these last couple of years have been. Everybody has gone through various things, and it's really, I guess I keep going back to the beginning about how we are really going forward to school, not going back to school. And what does forward look like? And get a handle of yourself. Feel, sort of if you and your spouse or the other parent that you're going to be talking this over with, have that conversation in private. Your fears, what you're worried about, all the negative piece, I want you to definitely talk about, think about, but I also want you to come up with some positive ideas about the way you think what you think is going to be. We're going to talk a little bit at the very end about what we're going to talk about next week, about what the whole school year looks like. But I'm just talking about you personally, about getting yourself in that right mindset to be able to get your kids to be ready for school. And again, it starts from you. If your attitude about, oh, I'm so upset the summer is over, that's the way they're going to be. But now and also being able to help you create a whole visual schedule, but do this as a family event. I love this picture because I think someone just came up with something on Pinterest this last week about creating a really big wall visual schedule with a bunch of Post-its. It's kind of my favorite. We at 3D Learner certainly have a visual schedule that we're welcome to share with you. And if you'll send us your email, share your email with us. We are happy to be able to share that with you. I may be even available at some point somewhere, I think, on our website at 3dlearner.com, because we feel so strongly about using visual schedules. But it's so very important that your kids have a structure. And oh, by the way, that you have a structure, that you remember that somebody had a dentist appointment, or that you have an important meeting, or where it is that you're going to be. And if everybody can see it, and to the best of your abilities, if you let your kids get creative, if they each have their own color Post-its, even better. They get to be able to see what it is. And I will tell you that it will change your life and your family's life for the better. Absolutely. And then we also want to be able to, yes, I know we're all going to have homework, and maybe for the first week or so you might not. But if you actually have your own homework schedule, homework visual schedule that's specifically for that, you'll see in this we've actually put something about what the subject is, put in breaks, put in water, put in a movement break. Make sure that at the end of it that you have some sort of a game or a fun activity that you're going to be able to do. I'm going to tell you, if you don't get anything else out of tonight, then to make it visual. I'm going to tell you to make it visual. All right. The next part was about preparing your child. So let's remember who our 3D learner, right brain learner, whatever label you'd like to be able to put on them. We call them these really creative right brain learners because they think in pictures. They need a story. They need a full experience about what their life is going to be like. And I'm going to tell you, this is even for middle and high schoolers, that go visit the school, do a walkthrough. And before you, if your child is in elementary school, you can create a story. So, because remember, the picture and the story that comes in their head connects to the same part of their brain as if they're actually doing it. In some realms, they might call them social stories, where they create a story about a child, putting your seatbelt on, or going on an adventure. Well, this adventure is about school. And we want you to practice. If you have a practice run, if you're going to be walking your kids to school, if you're going to be having them go by bicycle, or if you're going to be taking them by car. If you're going to be going in a carpool, I want you to actually even talk about that and make sure that their child feels comfortable in buckling in and in the car that they're going with a friend. But my bet is that first day or two, you're going to be taking your child directly to school. And I want you to make sure that they have a practice run so that they have a picture of what it is. For middle schoolers that are getting lockers, that are going from different classroom to different classroom, it's vitally important. I know high schools truly have a day back where, like, sometimes it's even the Sunday before, where they are going back to the schools. And I have to, as Mark warned at the beginning about how this year's going to look a bit different, some of these classes are going to be so much bigger. So if they're going to have classes now that may be 30 to 40 kids in a classroom in high school, they're going to really want to know where it is their class is, so that they don't get pushed around, and that they can actually have some idea about what their class is going to be looking like.
And the other thing to remember is the first day of school, as Mira said, everybody's going to be taking their kids to school, which means leave extra early. When you do a visual schedule the night before for what the morning's going to look like, say we're going to plan on leaving maybe 25, 30 minutes earlier than normal, because the line's going to be a challenge, and we're going to be on the front end of it rather than the back end of it, and it's going to make your day so much easier. So it's where you combine the visual schedule and the social stories that you set your kid up for. This is going to be okay because we're planning to be there on time.
So for many schools who don't start for another week or so, you want to add to your visual schedule and add to this positive picture about starting to get ready about going to bed at a more reasonable time. Maybe if you're lucky, if you start 15 minutes earlier and then another 15 minutes earlier, depending on how late your kids were allowed to be able to stay up at night. Some of these kids I know went to bed just early as well, because they were up early and exhausted being outside. But it's making sure that we sort of now truly get ourselves prepared. And as Mark said, prepared even for what that morning, like, let's prepare for that chaos of that morning. Let's make sure that we know and that we're ready for it. And when all of a sudden that things open up, or that you need to park across the street or down the street and park and walk, that your kids are not overwhelmed about the fact that they're so worried about, oh, this isn't the way we practiced it. So looking for every kinds of thing. Maybe you can make it an adventure for these next couple of days before, about talking to the kids about sort of where they think they should be or what they think the day is going to be like. Create the positive narrative about what their day is going to be like. Talk about their teachers. Talk about what kinds of behaviors that are expected of them. Please, teachers are just as worried about coming back to school as kids are. It's really important that we talk to our kids about respecting teachers and about what teachers might be doing. And then the very last thing is listen. And when I wrote this, I wanted listen as one big word, and then to what your kids are saying. And if you have to take a breath, take 5 seconds, take more, to be able to listen to what their concerns are. And don't try to fix it, but try to listen to what their concerns may be and how they might solve the problem. What if my teacher doesn't like me? What if my teacher is like there are all kinds of scenarios that that your kids have, whether they've listened to their friends or they've listened to other siblings. It's really the picture that is in their head is real to them, and it's very important that you listen to what it is that they're worried about or that they're excited about. We're listening to kids about how, they didn't make a lot of friends over the last couple of years. It was difficult between being in and out of school, between wearing masks, between, new kids coming to school for the first time because they were in a new school because they had moved, or whatever it was. It's really important that you listen to their concerns. And if you find that it's friend related, let the teachers know what's going on with friends, or see if you can find out how you might be able to connect with some of the kids that might be in their classroom and put together a play date. I'm going to tell you. Go ahead.
One of the things that you comment on often is that first day when the kids come out of school and they get in the car. Could you share some insights on that?
Wow, it's a really good point. Right. I think one of these nights I'm going to have to talk about what to say to your child when at the day after school, their day after school versus how was your day? And I'd love to be able to have comments. In fact, that would be one of my most fun kinds of comments and most fun kind of discussion at night of what are the fun kinds of things that we can get your kids. Remember, they're visual. So if they had a really bad day, asking them how their day was just plays up everything. We know these days are going to be chaotic. So you can even start your day with, when you get out of school, I'm going to ask you what color shoes your teacher was wearing. What was a funny thing that happened? How many people did you say hello to today? Any number of kinds of things that you can do, but try to keep a positive picture about what is going to happen as well as what has happened. And again,
those first 5 seconds when they get in the car can set an incredibly positive tone.
Right. Remember the look on your face. If you're worried about a call that you just got from work or something else that happened, the first thing they're going to think of is, why are you mad at me, Mom? Or why are you frustrated at me? So make sure that, remember, that's going to go all the way back to our very first picture about your tone, setting how you look, how you feel, how you sound. If you have a clean car, I don't think any parent has a really clean car if they've got kids that are riding it. Is that possible? I'm not sure. But really, it's you may have a snack ready for them, even in the car. Being able to try and have that all sort of ready, which sort of gets me to, I think, my last slide. Oh, no, before this one, I'm going to skip a bit. Make a meal plan, not just you. It'd be really nice if it was just as fancy and perfectly as that, right? But make it so it's positive that you know how to plan and that your kids have something to look forward to, but they can also choose. Maybe each one of your kids gets to choose what they're going to have different night of the week. All these years later, I remember that Monday night was always meatloaf night and Tuesday night was always stew and Wednesday night was always fish or some dairy. It's kind of funny all these years later, but make it a plan. Hope you know. Okay. Aside from preparing your kids and preparing you, be prepared with supplies. Now, I know supplies can be costly, and I know that schools are sending out lists of things that they need, and I know that teachers are having to be able to spend a lot of things out of their money. So where you can, being able to give extra supplies for your classroom is really needed and really wonderful. But it's also really important that you have a stash of materials or supplies for you at home. And long ago, I put together this list, and it was sort of funny because I actually went around my own house looking at what it is that I had. I'm going to tell you that having a whiteboard is absolutely mandatory. Whether it's big that hangs on your wall or whether it's big that's on your table, having a small one that you can actually take with you in your car is also really awesome. I don't know what it is about whiteboards, the wipe-off boards that we're talking about. Kids love them. It's quick to be able to, maybe they can get it, maybe as Mark said, when you're talking about a comment, you can quick do a math problem. I don't know, but being able to make sure that you have more than one whiteboard, lots and lots of markers. I have to laugh because to this day, I am always, every time those wipe off markers go on sale somewhere, I am getting a supply, and yet it seems that every time we pick a whiteboard marker up to work with kids, it's not working. Lots of markers. Using colored folders or files. I know that every teacher may come up with a particular way to be able to organize your kids, and in another couple of weeks we'll be talking about school and organizational skills. But if you already have the colored folders or files for kids to be able to put with, even if for right now it's you that's putting them in the different colors, that's really important. At least you have them on file. At least you have them with you. Plain white paper, I don't think any of us ever have enough, as much as all of us want to be able to try and get everything digitized. That paper, have lined paper, have large graph paper. So you can even find examples of large graph paper free online, printed out. If some of them are as big as an inch wide, it makes such a huge difference when kids are trying to be able to write numbers or trying to be able to write words. And being able to have that on hand is just so vitally important. And to the extent that you have one or find one, find a label maker, because you're going to be putting a label maker on all those files that you have. Colored paper, and then 2 or 3 large poster boards. You can get different colors, at least have one that's white. As I said before, man, I can't how many times at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, thank goodness at the time FedEx was always still open. But, and if you think this is a year, find out early from the still, if you think this is a year that your child is going to be doing a science fair project, get that science board now while you can. Because I can guarantee you, one, you may need more than one, but I can guarantee you that that's going to come up on you that, oh, I wish I'd bought it when I found them and when I knew that they were around, and that you're now not paying a premium for. But just having them, find a corner in a closet, find somewhere that you can have it. Construction paper, different color construction paper, you always need that. Colored index cards, we use large colored index cards for working on vocabulary. Honestly, getting them by 4 by 6 is actually better than a 3 by 5. You can just, even for my high schoolers, using the colored cards that are 4 by 6 are important. Pencils, make sure some of them at least are sharpened. Erasers, pens, even erasable pens. I'm just telling you about being able to have this sort of supply and get a number of small objects, whether it's small Legos, whether it's small counters. Some of these places, some of these are in the dollar bins at Target as you walk in, or at Walmart, wherever you want, wherever you find them, or beans. It's just really important that you get them while you see them. Glue sticks, paper clips, staplers, and staples. Again, if you need this list, please email us. We'll be happy to share it with you. It's really important.
One of the things to recognize is that stores are out of the darndest things. I can't tell you what from one day to the next what they're going to be out of. But if you get this list, we'll probably email this thing out later in the week, is do your shopping as early as possible. I'm going to guarantee you with almost 100% certainty that some parents the first week are going to be complaining because they went to the store and they were out of this, and that. Why? Because that's the world we live in 2022.
Right.
There's just a lot of shortages, and their response time to fix those shortages is longer than you want. So do your shopping early and get what you need, and maybe get a couple extra.
Your neighbor will be happy you had it, or your best friend. All right, talked about meal plan. Thank you. All right, next week, Mark.
So next week we're going to be talking about how do we make this an outrageously successful school year. A lot of people have talked about the fact that kids, especially visual, experiential, kinesthetic learners, have had a bad couple of years. They've spiraled down. We're going to be talking next year about how do you put it all together. We've talked in the last couple of weeks about reading comprehension, executive function. But next week, we're going to talk about how would you put together the best possible school year for your child and for you, where you address the whole child. And we're going to be talking about some about goal setting and some about collaboration starting with a framework that says, with a blank sheet of paper, what would it look like when your child has an outrageously successful school year? And we're just, for anybody who's wants to go back and look at some of our videos, we've done gotten some very positive comments on our reading comprehension and executive function ones. You can find it on the 3D Learner YouTube channel, where we post all the videos that we do. And we wish you a great start for the school year.
As we go forward to school, I guess we're going to change this to going forward.
As your child goes forward into the next school year.
Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay cool. Enjoy. Again, thanks for joining us. Good night.